In the previous video, I talked a lot about the Hase trike, which you see here, but I realized that some of the concerns were not addressed, and also based on the comments on the previous video, I decided to do a follow-up on this design, which is a very unique Delta design. As always, make sure to be checking the links below. Check out my book, check out my shop, and if you have not subscribed yet, now is the best time to do so. Here are the bikes. They actually have a lot more models than these, but these are typical to what they make. They have two wheels in the rear and one in the front, which is typically not what is being done. Also, they are long wheelbase. Notice that you are pedaling behind the wheel, not in front of it. Sort of like some of the long wheelbase bicycles, the two-wheel recumbents that are on the market. And there aren't many of these, probably because they are not so compact, not so easy to store. But I do recommend both the Hase for three-wheelers as well as the Bashetta. I'll put the link below just to make sure you don't forget. But compare these to a short wheelbase bicycle. This one is also recommended. It's very fast, it's very cool. But just from a safety perspective, notice that if you have a frontal collision with anything, even if you just run into a concrete wall, you're going to shatter your feet, if not your shin bone and your knees. So you do not have this protection that the front wheel in front of you is providing, not to mention that the ride is far more rocky and tight. And that's fine because this machine was built for partly it has a foldable version, so you could pack it into a suitcase, as discussed in previous videos, but also for cornering. This is a wheelbase that's not much bigger than what you would get from a road bike. So you can pretty much compete with them around the corners, which is important for racing. But if you're not racing, then comfort is more important. So this is just for safety and comfort. I think it's really nice to have a long wheelbase bike or trike. And you can adjust everything on these bikes or trikes, but it's very nice that you can vary the length of this stub bar or low bar, whatever it's called. You can vary almost everything, the angle of the back of the seat, the height of the seat, and it's really great that you can vary the length as well, because if somebody is 6.5 feet tall, is going to want to stretch out, whereas a 5 foot tall person needs completely different size. By making it adjustable, you can have the whole family use the same bike. You can resell it to basically anybody who wants it. The electric option has also been discussed. I suggested that I would even add a front wheel electric option. Clearly, adding it in addition to what they already install is a lot of expense and unnecessarily complicated, because you would need a separate battery, a separate controller, and a separate computer as well, because they have their own controllers and computers, and it's a closed system, so you cannot really do much with it. I guess what I would do would be just to get a human-powered version and install my own, because I don't want a speed limit. As far as the speed limit is concerned, a number of people have commented about the dangers of e-bikes. I think this is totally misguided, because every single serious accident I've ever even heard of was caused by a road bike. Look at what they do. They get it up to 50, 60 miles an hour. And even on the greenways and trails, they do get it up to 30, 35 if given the chance, if given the opportunity to race other people. They love to race other people. They have hit and killed people. They kill these little animals, these squirrels and mice and whatever that wander around the greenway at night. So I always see those little animals dead in the morning. I've never seen an e-bike rider ever causing a problem. I don't care if they have a 700 or 1,000 watt setup. Look, he's racing the car. It's funny, this car is trying to keep up, but he's going to be passed at the end, because this is how insane they are. I mean, this is insane to try to race a car at 50 miles an hour. So if the government officials knew what they were doing, they would not limit the speed of an e-bike, because a sudden cutout is only going to create danger. What they need to do is to seriously start ticketing these people and requiring them to carry a valid license every time they step outside, because that's the only way they could be issued a ticket. They cannot license the bikes. You cannot put the license plate on the bike, but you could certainly require them to carry an ID. And I have seen them ticket some of these racing bikes in Central Park. As far as the Delta design is concerned, this is a car, if you have heard about it, this was a brilliant design in my opinion in the early 2000s. This was called the Nissan Delta Wing. It weighed a half a ton, a fraction of the weight of a smart car. And it was run either on a 1.8 or a 2-liter 4-cylinder little engine, like a Mazda commonly available engine, turboed up to about 350 horsepower. So astonishingly light, astonishingly underpowered, and yet so fast. It raced for several years. There is a coupe version of it. They built a variety of it. What happened with this car was that they had a lot of problems with it, a lot of quality problems, not with cornering. I mean, look at the cornering of this car. Even though it is a sharp corner, he's taking it by speed. Now, this is not something you could do with the Hase because it is too wide and too short, and you would topple over. And this is why all of the racing trike on the market have the two wheels in the front and the one in the rear, because it allows you to corner a lot better. And in fact, some of them have the front wheels at an angle to provide even more stability. But look, the cornering is excellent, but it is a very wide kind of a trike. It's not really a trike because you have two wheels in the front, two wheels in the rear, but that's because of racing regulations requiring you to have four wheels. In fact, the end of the life of this product that was raced for a few years, I think 2007 or 8 was the last time that this was on the road. They changed the regulations to out-regulate the Nissan Delta Wing from racing so that it could not be raced again. It was a brilliant car. It was a two-seater because it was raced at Le Mans, and once again, the regulations required that the car be a two-seater. But this was an amazing, amazing design. If they allowed these cars to race, then eventually the quality problems wouldn't be fixed, and the car probably would have blown away the competition. So the problem was they didn't really have the experience to develop it. They didn't have time to develop it. But this is really the kind of racing trike I might consider buying, even though I'm not on the market for a trike right now. But if somebody made a tricycle with this kind of an approach, wide like a car, and have even just one kind of a massive front wheel, that would be really cool to get because you can corner them. Also, they are very low, much lower than the Hase. So this is one disadvantage with the Hase, that the Hase bikes do not allow speedy cornering. And you can see from the small chain wheels that they are not made for speed. These are made for climbing and casual riding. But on the other hand, because of the heavy weight of these trikes, they start at 50 pounds and they move up from there, especially if they are electric. Because of that, on the downhill, this thing would pick up minimum 50 miles an hour, especially the lower one, this one. Because it's quite heavy, the electric version of it must be at least 70 pounds. And on the downhill, even though the electric cuts out at 20 miles an hour, that's not a problem. You stop pedaling and you just glide. Like so many velomobile downhill videos you have seen, I think you could go up to 50, 60 an hour. Just like the evil road bikes do, except that maybe you would not be bullying people. I wanted to add these observations to the previous video, just to be clear. Make sure to check the links below and you'll see the videos for yourself.
I'll be back.